Hi everyone. Hello. And today I have a special guest. Someone who I've been watching for some time and I've been fortunate enough to meet him at meets and other venues. Someone who I actually respect highly for his football opinion and FPL opinion. So I'm very grateful that he agreed to come onto the pod. James, how you doing, my friend?
I'm very good, Mo. Yourself, mate?
I'm very good. Thank you very much. Apart from my FPL season, everything is going rosy. Liverpool top of the
Yeah,
league.
fantasy doesn't matter. Top of the league, yeah, not doing too bad there. I'll give you that one.
Exactly that. So yeah, and before we actually get into it, just for the couple who are on actually that might not know who you are, although it's impossible everyone knows who you are, James. Everyone within the FPL community, if you could just give us a quick introduction to you and your podcast, please, James.
My name's James. I'm one half or one third these days of the Planet FPL podcast. Been going now since summer 2017. We've got content out most days of the week, much of it FPL, a lot of it not FPL as well, though. So, yeah, I've been doing the game for a while now.
And have you grown to love it more, James, or has it become a burden as it's become your job?
Yeah, it's burden now. Yeah, I'm in a very privileged position where obviously it's become my job to cover FPL and football now. So no, I'm very fortuitous, my friend. I definitely wouldn't call it a burden. Tottenham, my team, is a burden on me, definitely more than the job.
And in the background, for those that can see on YouTube, you can see a picture here. You can see, I'm sure you can see James looking very happy here in his lovely that
Drunk.
top. That top there. What did you think of that top there, James?
No, I ended up buying that for a dag. You know, them people who do that really shitty stuff where they're like 1,000 likes and I'll do this. That's
Yeah.
what I did. I did 1,000 likes and I'll buy this crap shirt. I realized within about 5 minutes I should have done 100,000 likes. I think I might have got that. It was within about 5 minutes. I was like, yeah, I'm buying the shirt. Okay, we've organised a meetup. I'll wear this shirt as well. I mean, I stand out like a sore thumb there, unfortunately, tonight.
Yeah, but you
It's a
could
good day
see
though.
it was a very good day. And I was about to say, you could see the vibe around you. Look at everyone smiling, everyone happy. These are a lot of people that we already know from the community, some really good managers in there. So that was a lovely day. That's why I thought it'd be nice to welcome you and say hello, welcome to my channel with that lovely picture. But now we can get stuck into your season, James. So I know you've been playing FPL for a little while. I looked at your history as well. And this season, you started really well, James.
Yeah, I mean the bench boost helps that game week 1 rank, and it went well. 26 points from the 4 weakest players are what I deem to be. So, you know me, I'm quite heavy into my strategy in terms of blanks, doubles, and that later in the season. Felt there was an opportunity with the pricing and the opening day fixtures to take some stuff on. Things like thinking Isak was the best captaincy in one. In hindsight, he wasn't, but at
Yeah.
that price, at sort of 8.5, you're thinking, hang on, there's things that can be done here. So that went well. Then had a couple of difficult weeks where I took on Haaland and Salah and continued to take them both on till I bought Mo in game week 11, I think. Yeah, game week 11. Wild carded in 3. And then Salah went off at Old Trafford and Haaland went off at West Ham. It's like, what have I done? But stuck to me guns and it played around because obviously going against those two players obviously had a lot of money to play with. So I had all the people that people perhaps were avoiding. So say like your Trents, Watkins I captained in 4. That went well. Had Saka, had Palmer, had pretty much everyone else you could have, bar the big 2. And it went quite well. And obviously then going against Haaland when obviously the goals, I say dried up, they'll come back. But that obviously went quite well. So yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of reds recently. I've actually only had 4 green arrows, I think, this year.
Yeah.
So they've obviously been up there quite a bit. So that this week was the first green arrow for a while, actually. So just inside top 50k. But yeah, I think it's probably more rather than going on. I was 5k at game week. I think when Saka's got the haul against Southampton, I went up to 5k. And then there's the go and win it all, James. And I'm like, yes, game week 6. Like, there's a long way to go here. Kids don't think that's happening. Rather than judging it and going, oh, I've dropped from 5k to 50k, just be really pleased that I'm at that position and can consolidate now.
Totally agree. But I mean, what I want to take you back already. So bench boost, game week 1. How comes you use first of all, that's the first one I'm going to double check. How comes you use adamant and you went for it? And the second, and this is the more important one, because now it's become almost a template move, the no Haaland. But you started with that. So that's the one I'm intrigued. They're the 2 things I was curious to your start of the season.
So I actually bench boosted in game week 1 last year as well, which was not the plan. But in the build up to game week 1, a lot of things fell into place. Things like Garnacho being 5 million, I know he'd start for Manchester United at home to Wolves. I can bench boost with players like this. It looks good. And I had a number of defenders did well. I took a chance on things like I think Sam Johnson in goal for Palace, kept a clean sheet at Sheffield United. It worked out quite nicely. The weeks I had afterwards, though, suffered. And a big difference between last year and this year was I bench boosted with a team that I then had to carry. So I felt like I was fighting for a number of weeks, kind of restructuring things. Whereas, like I said, things like wanting to captain Isak in game week 1 enabled me to look at a really good core of attacking players that were playing the promoted teams. So 3 Liverpool against Ipswich, 3 Tottenham against Ipswich, 3 Newcastle against Southampton. I'm only 6 players away here. Arsenal at home to Wolves, I've got 12. So I only had coverage of 5 or 6 teams going into game week 1, and a few of them obviously had tough runs afterwards, such as Arsenal had a good game week 1, but then some really tough away fixtures. So the intention had been to wildcard in 2, but then I became so focused on bench boosting game week 1, I didn't even truthfully realise that I was in a good position for game week 2, because the plan had been, right, wildcard game week 2 and put Haaland in, and obviously captain him against Ipswich, which would have been great. Then the whole narrative would have been completely different. Such said this a few weeks ago. He said, in a way, I've been quite lucky in the sense that certain things force certain decisions that actually work to my benefits. You can say, well, I would have had Haaland in 2, and then inevitably I'd have had him in 3. Guess what would have happened if I had them 2 alls? He'd be sitting in my team all this period. Fairly certain of that. So it actually worked in my favour. Then I wildcarded in 3, but become convinced, having let the Ipswich fixture go, that I really wanted to take Haaland on, and the structure of my team would look much better without him, because I could still have all the other key players. And not going Salah at the time was very much not that I think he can match him, but for 5 million saving with Jota, I've got some coverage of that Liverpool attack at a massive discount. Things like Palmer v and Kunku. In game week 1, I'd have gone on Kunku, but by the time I got to game week 3, it was clear Palmer's got to go in at this stage. So I wanted Palmer, wanted Saka, decided to go Jota versus Salah. That didn't pay off so well, but it meant I had a nice spread. Again, I was able to carry people like Captain Watkins in 4, Captain Saka for the return against Southampton. That enabled me to just fight against it.
And was the
combinations of players?
Was the wild card always planned for game week 3 to rectify? Because you put obviously
no, it wasn't. It was planned for game week 2.
Oh, to rectify the bench boost team.
Correct, yeah. But then the more I'd looked at it, was like, well, I'm okay. I'll just bench Murphy and Hall away to Bournemouth, and that's the sort of thing I'm doing. You go, how much do I need to bench boost out of this? Because Tottenham still had Everton at home. And the other thing that obviously happened to me was that really locked it in, and I'd completely forgotten, was I had 4 Tottenham.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because in the build-up to the week, Solanke obviously joined Tottenham the weekend before, and I stuck him in. So that whole week building to game week 1, I never touched the team. I had 4 Tottenham. So then the other side, Solanke got injured, but I still had 3 Tottenham at home to Everton. I bought Muniz at home to Leicester. There wasn't enough justification actually to wildcard in 2. I'd have been wildcarding just for Haaland.
Yeah.
It's the reality. So I left it go a week more. And once I'd let Haaland against Ipswich go, I was like, okay, I want to take him on. I think I might use the famous line, he won't get a hat-trick again at West Ham. And obviously he did. And when Salah's hauled at United as well, you're thinking, oh, I'm in so much trouble.
I was thinking, you did get away with it, Jens, but also, did you get, when Haaland went on that run where he just started to go crazy, wasn't there a bit of panic kicking in?
No, not really, because once you got, again, I let the Ipswich fixture go, so I don't want to chase points like that. So I mentioned this with Bruno Fernandes the other week. Oh, Bruno's hauled against Leicester, and now let's chase him. I don't want to be doing that sort of thing. I've made a decision to take him on. I'm going to take him on. If I'd have wanted to get him in, he's going in for the start of the good run. So having then watched him haul against Ipswich and West Ham, you're looking there and going, okay, Brentford at home this week's now really scary going into 4. But then it's Newcastle in 6 after Arsenal in 5. So, okay, let's make a plan to get him in 7 and 8. And at that point, I was plotting to restructure to put Haaland back in when City went to Wolves in game week 8. And then as the weeks passed, and obviously I had a really good 7 with, I think, Saka's returns against Southampton when so many had captained Haaland against Fulham. There's something in this, and I'm going to stick with it. The more regrettable is obviously not not chasing to Mo, but I don't regret that massively because Liverpool had some difficult fixtures at that time, so like Chelsea and Arsenal and that as well. So I was always open to getting towards Mo Salah. I've had a structure idea all season where it's like I'm not cutting myself off of any player other than Haaland. Everyone else is constantly in reach. So if I want to get Watkins, get Watkins. Want to get Saka, get Saka. Want to get Salah, can do it. Everyone's in reach, but part of the principle around that is no Haaland.
So speaking, you touched on structure there, and I want to ask about your strategy. Have you done anything different? Because you've had such a good start to your season. Has there been differences? Obviously, we try to learn every season we play. We've been playing for a long time. But we know in FPL, that don't mean much, James. Sometimes it could easily go the other direction. Has there been anything different this season that you've implemented regarding strategy?
Well, I think the strategy I took was obviously different to the majority of people, clearly. Now, it can go the other way, right? If Haaland had kept scoring from game week 5 onwards, you'd all be going, now, James, you're at 4 million and we're all up here. What's going on? So he obviously went into my benefit. So I think in terms of learning, ultimately you're influenced by the outcome there, aren't you? And I'd rather not be. Perhaps a learning here in terms of the structure element of that, just that huge difference between Haaland and Watkins, and knowing that, like I said, that's the only player that was cut off. I think every season's different. Like what's worked this season isn't necessarily going to work the same next year. So because I guess me bench boosting this year had an influence on it went well for me last year. It went even better for me this year. But this year, I'm sort of about 4 weeks before deadline, I was like, I'm going to bench boost in game week 1, whereas the year before, I wasn't sure that I was going to do that. Next year, if the fixtures are different, then it's not to say I'm going to go and do that again, even though I might think doubles and blanks again later in the season might not look so good. So definitely been helped to the last couple of years a little bit, in the sense I've obviously got off to a better start than most people, as I should, using 15 players in one game week. But next year might be completely different, Mo.
Yeah, totally agree. But there must be some things that you're thinking that could be repeated next season. I know the game is always different. I know that, but clearly something that you're doing at the moment, James, is working. I'm looking at your ranks, so your rank at the moment and your start to the season. Even during the Haaland vicious bombardment of goals, you still kept going. Like, it was still okay. So maybe there is
other things like when Haaland got 2 against Brentford, our captain Watkins got 2 against Everton. So I was kind of like clinging on from that perspective. It's like, okay, I haven't got this guy, but this guy's doing all right for me. I think where I'm in a nice position and where I possibly suffered a little bit recently, because the difficult fixtures a lot of the big clubs had, I was quite intent on getting towards 12 and having a team that wouldn't be too far away from a wildcard team. So I might have had to suffer a little bit of pain to make sure I'm in a good position now. I think if I was wildcarding now, I'd possibly, other than, okay, we can all pick a different 4.5 defender, but in terms of the core players, I only feel like I'm without Saka in terms of what I truly want at the moment. Yeah. So I'm not far away from that. So I think for me, because of where I'm at from a strategy perspective, I'd like to try and visualize what other people might be doing in 3 or 4 weeks. Like I can see, for those who do still have the wild card left, it's obviously going to be a huge coverage of basically the top 4 in game week 18, and making sure I've got really good coverage of that. So people will say to you now, Haaland game week 18 or 22, you can't not have. Yeah, but Salah, Palmer and Saka have all got great fixtures over that period as well. So to have all 4 and then strip off and say, well, because I've got all 4, I'm going to have no Arsenal defense. I think the big thing is the structure. Every time I've kind of been tempted to make a decision to go, I'm not sure if this is right, but I feel I need to chase this, I've kept pulling back to the, okay, well, if I make that move, I can't buy Saka next or Salah next week or something like that. And that's held me, I think, in good stead this year. It's just taking Haaland out of thinking, basically.
But are you going to change the way you're playing though, James? As you've had a good start, are you going to try to be more defensive or watch others behind? No, you're going to continue as you are, because we're going to look at your team later and you have a couple of players in there that quite a lot won't have. So it's not like I can tell just by your picks, you're picking players, obviously, you're going with your strategy, because we'll look later on at your team. But so are you going to continue? You're not looking to play defensive or anything in that way?
No, I think we're going to come up to a period that probably will be quite defensive anyway, because I just said those 4 clubs and their brilliant fixtures sort of over the December and into January period, that you'll have to be defensive. There's a template that's forming, right? But I think naturally for me, I look at that and still think, well, they're the best picks. I would more see my advantages being back around later in the season when there's flips for fixtures, and there will still be some blanks and doubles. I more see my advantage there. So you could say it's more of a defensive move in the immediate, but I also feel like it's the right move. Ultimately, I'm chasing the points more than anything, Mo. I certainly wouldn't think I'm at 50k. I want to do this to stick here, or I want to do this to gain at the moment. At the moment, it's still a third of the way through the season, near enough. It's too long to go for me to be thinking I want to gain or I want to protect. I'm just chasing the points at this moment.
But have you found, I mean, from my experience, James, when I've had good starts to the season, I found decisions just come easier. And it sounds silly. Everything just flows. And when I'm having a season like I'm having this one, everything is hard. Are you finding that you've had a good start? Everything you've sort of done has worked, majority of the stuff. Are you finding that as well, James? That moves, your decision making is flowing. You're not overthinking anything. You're just picking the players you want.
I guess if you're at a position where you're happy, you've got greater confidence in your own decision making. Might be more of I had a really interesting question on a stream I did a few weeks ago about if I'd have been at 3 million going into that when Haaland played Wolves, if I'd have put Haaland in, and I came to the conclusion I probably would have.
Yeah.
Because then I'd be playing with a bit more fear. It's like, I need to get back on track quickly. Whereas now I feel a little bit more relaxed. I feel like I've got a team that's largely going to be quite consistent and is going to have some dips and have some highs, and it will balance out fairly enough. So I'm not too concerned at the moment. But yeah, I think if you're in a good position, you feel more confident, don't you? You've got more trust in your own decisions, because I guess to date you've made more good decisions than ultimately, or at least on the outcome has given you more good decisions than bad decisions. So I'm probably happy to continue under that basis.
100% spot on. And from my experience, James, that's why I was asking you to get your opinion. Whenever I had a good start, for some reason the flow just works. And when I'm having a difficult start, I think that's for me the hardest thing in FPL, making decisions when you're under pressure and having a stinker. Because you start doubting basic decisions, but decisions where when you're going well, they're easy picks. So that's from all the years I've been playing. That's one thing I do struggle with, trying to make the best decision possible when I'm having a bad season. But let's go to the no Haaland, and I want to touch on I've got a quick slide here from one of my videos that I've done, and I wanted to know your opinion. Obviously, you identified no Haaland from early, James, but recently, when you look at what the points dodged for the people that like me that kept with Haaland, is formidable. We know it can go both ways. You could argue he overperformed at the start of the season. I totally agree. It works both ways. It's not always, But recently, though, James, it's been ferocious. The XG versus on this little graphic I've got here, I've got the 4 premiums, I've got their XG and their points. And normally there's a correlation. We know that, obviously, hence, and especially the analytics managers who keep an eye on specific stats. But recently, what Haaland's been doing is not short of like crazy. I mean, for example, game week 9, 2.33 XG, James, and he gave us a 6-pointer where Palmer's one, I thought I wrote this wrong, 0.05, you got a 10-pointer, and Salah 10-pointer. And that's been happening for the majority of the game weeks recently. So that part there, it's been difficult for us Haaland owners. But then the flip side on your side, James, you could count yourself pretty fortunate there.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Even I was at the Etihad Saturday. Anybody who didn't own Haaland in the first 10 minutes is going, he's going off here.
Yeah,
definitely. So, yeah, it's just that I know there'll be a lot of there was the overperformance in the first 5 weeks, right? I mean, it's going to level out, but not to the extent you'd think that he'd only scored twice from an XG of 8 since then. It's remarkable. And we joked about it on our pod today. Even if he scored twice in the Champions League in midweek, Salah misses a penalty, and you're like, hang on, why didn't that happen for me at the weekend? It's just the way it's gone, isn't it? So, no, I was really keen to say to people this week, because I was telling everyone Captain Haaland this week, if you won't.
Yeah, I remember.
No Romero, no Van der Ven and stuff like that. I mean, you look at the data and you go, was it the right choice? And you can say, well, Mo this week was obviously really high, but if you take the penalty out, it's still fairly level.
Yeah.
So this week, admittedly, okay, fine. But in the other weeks, yeah, I mean, you look back on that and think, how? Absolutely. How even down to the little bits like the booking at Brighton took 3 points off him. If you captained him, it was 6 points off him, wasn't it?
I remember that yellow card on the 99th minute or something. I mean, I had him captained that week, James, and I was just sitting there and I was actually laughing. And that game week there, God, don't want to turn it into me sulking about my team, but that game week there is the one, I'm sure, was that the one where Liverpool haven't kept a clean sheet for like 6 weeks or something, and then Trent came off of the hamstring injury, and then they kept one against Villa. I was like, come on, man. Come on, you can't do this to me. But going back to Haaland one, do you think that's going to correct itself? It's a matter of time, James.
As in his returns?
Yeah.
He there's no doubt on him that the returns will come. Absolutely none. Despite the fact they as a team are obviously clearly in a bad moment at the moment, and that's not going to help. He'll score goals, no doubt about it. I think for me, where it's at though, the major thing is that the amount of forwards at, say, Cunha and below that have performed so well, you almost need him to be doing double whatever they're doing, basically.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel likely. We used to stat in midweek basically saying that for City to win the league with what Haaland's goal contribution of 55% is at the moment, it feels like Haaland's got to get 45 to 50 goals for City to win the league if this continues. And he's incapable of doing it. But for me, actually, as it stands at the moment, he's got to be doing sort of 38 goals to be worthwhile at that price. And there are so many others week on week who you feel like you can go against. The example being, like I said, he scored twice against Brentford. I'm in trouble. I captained Watkins against Everton. He scored twice. Yeah. That's not always going to be the case. But Haaland doesn't have Everton at home and Brentford at home every other week. You do have things like Cunha's got Southampton at home. And a lot of these guys are performing great, right? João Pedro is easily captainable this week for circa 9.5 million cheaper than Haaland.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think you do at that price now, you're starting to think, especially with the cheaper strikers performing, you do need him to be bracing, which the odds of that, we know, I mean, if there is any player in the Premier League that is capable of doing that every game is him. But yeah.
And the knock-on of what Salah's returns have been is mad. What I think really is helping Salah as well is because the bonus is obviously so weighted towards goal scorers now.
Yeah.
If Núñez played every week as a forward and scored 1 in 2, he'd eat a lot of Salah's bonus.
Yeah.
But he's not. It's other midfielders that are returning a lot and stuff. So Salah's just hoovering the bonus on top of what he's doing. They've kept a lot of clean sheets, so you're getting like an extra 1 there as well. I mean, he's got more bonus points than his high season already, isn't he? He's close enough, I think. He's nearly done it.
Because normally he never gets bonus. He's normally
even in his 300 odd point season, he had to fight to get bonus. You needed to get 2 returns off him to get bonus. Now it feels like if he scores, it's a 7-point goal.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, let's touch. You was at the game, James. Let's talk about the 2 players and the teams. What the hell is happening to Manchester City? Like what is actually going on? I know you've spoken about this on your pods, of course, in detail, so you don't have to go into too much detail, but it is strange for us. I mean, for us that we know Pep is a machine. I mean, all the stats recently, I mean, he just doesn't lose 4 to 5 games in a row. It doesn't exist. And that game midweek in Champions League felt like a defeat. The 3-0 up to 3-3. That destroyed them. You saw the marks on his head, James.
Yeah, we spoke about it yesterday. So I'm glad he put out a statement after we'd recorded saying, I'm sorry. That's good. I think people were generally worried about him.
They were. And that shows you even elite top level managers won everything. Literally, there's no one that can even be put beside him yet feels that pressure. It's crazy, isn't it? You'd think you can almost allow yourself to have a bit of downtime or to go, you know what, I'm having a poor season. No, it don't work like that in that type of job. He looked defeated. I haven't seen him like that before.
He's human. We think these people are untouchable. He's human. And he'll be struggling, kind of as we discussed, that we trust with City that Pep might find a solution as well. We kind of give them a chance. We don't want to rule them out because it's like, they can go and win 10 games in a row because Pep might find the right solution. But this might be the first time where in his own mind, what's the solution? We were analysing going, I don't know what you can do to fix this.
Yeah.
So they're in big trouble. And I think he's feeling the stress of that. If he feels the stress, the players feel the stress in turn. It's in a bad cycle. They've been for a while really easy to play against.
Yeah.
What I mean by that is obviously they're incredibly difficult to stop, but they've been for a long time now. I think probably going into sort of the spring period, even when they were winning a lot, really easy to hurt if people were brave against them And nearly every team in this league now plays with bravery in possession. You don't get too many teams just whack it up to the number 9 anymore. They're brave. They absorb City's press, and even bottom half teams think that they can play through them.
But that's the key, though, James, isn't it? That's the key, what you just said there. Because normally they come to your ground or you go to their ground and they have this invincibility, but slowly
before you even start.
You see them coming off the coach. You know you're finished. You're just thinking about, we'll take a 2-0 defeat and we take our pride and go home. But recently, like you said, even the bit of last season, I didn't think they were amazing last season, which sounds silly to say considering they won the Prem. I thought Arsenal were the best team, to be honest, but this is Manchester City and Pep. Like you said, February comes, they win 15 or 14 games and they tend to turn up. But they've been losing that armor and that invincibility. It takes you a long time to create that. And recently, like you said, even the smaller teams are thinking, oh, actually, we'll give it a go. Where normally the smaller team goes there and they take their 2-0 and go home. So it's very difficult to fix that. Even the genius that Pep is, and especially with the players he's got at the moment, the disposal. Do you see them turning it around, James, while we're talking about City?
No.
You don't think so?
No, this is more than a blip. Yeah, you've got over the last 10 games, they've conceded more big chances than they've had. And you can see the Haaland data in front of you, so they're still having big chances. So how bad is it going the other way? It's horrendous at the moment. They've not been helped by, obviously, injury issues recently. But bar probably the 11 they fielded at Brighton, they've still been picking teams that you'd go are definitely strong enough. The team they picked against my team at the weekend was still definitely strong enough to be winning the game. He's ended up picking a system that was quite radical to protect Gundogan in the 6th position. The legs won't take him anymore. So, I mean, in hindsight, it wasn't Romero missing was the big deal. It was Kovacic missing. Yeah. They've ended up putting Lewis and Gundogan next to him, so their shape off the ball is all completely different. And he's come up with a philosophy basically to try and stop Tottenham. I think he's a defense-first coach. He thinks about how to stop the opponent, and then obviously has his philosophy on the ball. But he implemented a new system against Tottenham at the weekend, and it failed.
Yeah,
it failed miserably, you'd have to say. Now, if they score in the first 10 minutes, they'll probably win the game, and we ain't having this conversation. And those little things like that are going against City at the moment.
Yeah.
But no, I see them losing more games, mate.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. And did you see the press conference? The press conference, James, when he touched on that he would have played the 2 centre backs in central midfield to give us to be more solid. I was quite surprised. So he knows there's a glaring problem for you to be able to run through their midfield, and he's trying his best. I mean, he's probably the best manager I know to find solutions. So I'm not discounting them, James. Maybe because I'm scarred as a Liverpool fan. I've seen us get 98 points and they're still there. Maybe I'm thinking, you know what? If they're still within sort of even 9 points or 10 points come February, I don't trust that team. So maybe I'm thinking Pep could find a solution. I know you're saying this is more than just a blip, and there is problems.
They can. It will be down to him.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think the easiest way I could sell this to you is we hang on to the you know what City are capable of, especially because of how much you've pushed each other over the last 5 years or so. But if you're analysing City, if it's not those light blue shirts, and you're going, I'm watching Tottenham, you'd be watching that team going, that team isn't finishing top 4.
Yeah.
Never mind challenging for the league. So
same with the European fixture.
It's not 1 or 2 games now. I mean, the collapse
has been going for a little while.
It's not believable against Feyenoord, that collapse.
That's the one that made me start to believe. I'm honest with you, James. Even as a Liverpool, I was thinking, this could be. You can't be 3-0 up. That's the Spurs one in the Prem. I'm willing to accept it because the way Ange plays, if things fall in your team's favour, you can smash teams because you're very, very aggressive attacking team. You can be, but I didn't expect the 3-0 in European fixtures, which tend to be much more smoother. You can control them a bit more. Prem's got the hecticness. So that did shock me. I was very, very surprised. When I saw that, I did think to myself, like you, I was like, ooh. You're right there, James.
Yeah, sorry.
That's all right, mate.
I've got Pep's cold, I think.
It is, exactly. Just don't start marking your head, James.
No, I'm all good, mate.
Yeah, good. I was going to say, and to flip it the other way as well, Liverpool, Klopp must be watching this thinking, what the actual hell, James, is going on? I'm here getting 98 points and these guys are still here. Literally, to win the league, Klopp had to, I remember his first 27 games, he won 26 and drew 1. Basically, that's what he had to resort to even create a gap. And now it looks like, you can see it from his perspective, he must be really frustrated watching this.
Don't complain from the Liverpool perspective, but yeah, we have joked about it. Yeah, Klopp must be thinking, what is going on here? They needed to massively re-energise the squad. We said this in the springtime, and we thought, like, when we saw them in pre-season with Savinho sign and how well Oscar Bob was playing in pre-season, you're like, okay, at least there's a little bit of new energy in this team. That energy got taken away with Bob's injury. I think Savinho actually has been one of City's better players over the last couple of months, but he's returning at the top end, and they never replaced Mahrez last season. So I think that's kind of what this is now, and they've lost Rodri. And it's not got the confidence or the legs to deal with any team that is able to play through lines against them at the moment. You mentioned about centre-backs in midfield. I would not be surprised if they're available that he goes to Anfield at the weekend and plays Walker, Diaz, Aki, Vardiol as his back four, and he plays Akanji and Stones in midfield. I wouldn't be surprised if they're all available.
Same. He actually said he would have done that in one of the other fixtures to make us more solid.
Well, it's that much of a mess at the moment. That is the only sort of thing that is going to stop the teams playing through them. Now, of course, that is massively against his philosophies, because now you're defending with 6 rather than 5. Means he's attacking with 4. Unless he goes back to, you maybe get away with it pushing Vardiol really high down the left-hand side of him possession. It would be a big move away from his philosophy, but he's got to do something different at the moment.
But it shows you, James, confidence, how powerful it is in football. There's some of these players, they look like world beaters, and then you can watch them the week after, like Vardiol, you just touched on it. He came to my mind when you mentioned him. He was all over the place. Horrible defensively, even in mid, very, very poor. Goes to show you, man, no matter how good you are, all the titles you've won, if you have a bad run, you can see it in your faces and on the pitch. I mean, I'm just surprised. But the positive side, James, how about Liverpool and Slot? Just quickly before we go into your team.
Yeah, I mean, brilliant. It's got to be above your expectations. I think all of us, in seriousness, I think most of us expected a bit of a drop-off because of how long Klopp had been there and how well he'd done. So the adjustment's been miraculous in terms of the results.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of us Liverpool fans that think it's the perfect storm, James, with Slot style, but inherited Klopp's team. And what I mean by that is we can't, obviously, this is speculation, we can't be sure that if Slot had his own squad, would the team perform like this? And what I mean is he's kept Klopp, because Klopp obviously bought specific type of players, hunters, aggressive, certain attitude. And I wouldn't have been sure if Slot would have like for like, but then Slot's taken almost Klopp's team and put the little control into it. Defensively, we look a bit more solid. I mean, we still concede some chances, but a bit more solid. He's done differences with the fullbacks, and he's done differences with the build play in central midfield. The attack still looks good, but we're just a bit more, that couple of percentage calmer has made a difference. You know, now I'm not saying, James, that's the reason Liverpool could go to win the league, because the real reason might be what we just spoke about a minute ago, City falling off completely. But you have to say, Slot's done a really good job, James.
100%, way better than what anyone could have expected so far. I know people have even been saying, like, you know, well, let's see what happens to Liverpool when the fixtures get tougher. Well, you beat Chelsea, you beat Real Madrid, you drew at Arsenal. So even with these tougher fixtures, you've done better. I think there's the next 4 or 5 is a real tough hurdle for you to clear. If you clear that well, sort of 4 wins and draw or so from the next 5, then you become heavy favourites. Yeah. You're rightly favourites at the moment. I just feel, I look at things like Sunday, and I think that performance at Southampton, I just think Arsenal don't have that sort of performance in a fixture like that, where it becomes like a drama. Yeah. And I know there's a plus side to that for Liverpool in terms of, like, almost winning like that almost increases your momentum further, because it's always more dramatic than it should have been and stuff. But I can see further down the line you having games like a Forest away and it becoming like that, and you like, don't need this, and Arsenal just go there and win 2-0 and disappear. So I'd still give them the edge to catch you. Me and Clayton did some analysis yesterday of the away games the 2 clubs have got left, and it's night and day. Your away games versus theirs. They've got so many of the big ones out of the way. You basically only got the Arsenal game out of the way. Yeah, you don't play each other till game week 36. So I think you need that lead that you've got at the moment over Arsenal. But yeah, Liverpool doing incredibly well. As always, like any of these races, I mean, one thing to obviously say about City is they have had injury problems. Yeah. And if suddenly you lose Van Dijk and Salah and stuff, we've got a different conversation. Arsenal just got through a period, in fairness, without Odegaard, right? If they lose Saka and Saliba for a period, then that puts real pressure on them.
And that's the big luck everyone needs in football, James. Everyone's got certain key players. I mean, the Premier League, everyone's got incredible squads. No problem. But there are specific players the squad can't cover. You just touched on for Liverpool, it's Van Dijk and Salah. They're irreplaceable. which is frustrating me that their contracts are not being sorted yet. But that's another discussion. But every team's got them, and City have lost one of theirs, and that was Rodri. We know that. I mean, it shouldn't be that extreme, in my personal opinion, the drop off, but it goes to show you certain key players. Let's go into your game week 13 team, James. Now, you've, as I said, you've had a lovely start to the season, and how are you looking to? I think you got the captaincy on Salah at the moment, James?
Yeah, I'll definitely be Salah.
Oh, so you're actually convinced? You're not tempted? I've got another graphic later on for captain, so we might touch on that a bit more detail. But if you just take us through your team, James, and the thinking and your bench.
Support João Pedro drunk Saturday night on the way back from Manchester. To be honest, I always knew that I might be buying him this week. But to be honest, I knew before Tottenham had even kicked off with the haul at Bournemouth that he was just going to get absolutely steamed into this week. So the leaving Larson to not go to Pedro, I was like, they're a Friday night game. There's not really a reason to get that done. So I got that done Saturday night. Money's in the bank to target towards Bukayo Saka next week. There's no intention to do anything else. It looks like I've come through the games last night without any injury issues. Obviously got to get through Europa League games tonight. I've got like Morgan Rogers you can't see on the screen as like first sub if I have to play him this week. That's fine. If Porro was unavailable, I play Hall. If Gabriel is injured, I've just got Lewis Hall at Crystal Palace. So no intention to do anything else with this as it stands. I think it looks quite good for this week.
Yeah, you're looking in
players are at home.
Yeah, you're looking in a good position there, James. Garnacho, what was your thinking there?
That was a sober choice, believe it or not. No, that was it was a punt. It was a punt a few weeks ago, looking at United's period of 11 to 13 and wanting to have something to have as coverage. Sorry, over that period.
Sorry, James, and I'm making you talk a lot. Oh, God, apologies.
No, sorry, mate.
No worries. I know.
Sorry, pal.
Nah,
but he's on the shopping block after this week, definitely.
Yeah, and especially with the new manager and system, we're not quite sure how they're gonna set up there, James. And I'm not sure the minutes there. They've got quite a lot of players that can fit into those positions, and especially if Bruno's going to take one of those two attacking positions, that almost leaves one for how many they've got there. So it's a tricky position. That it's not ideal.
I was always convinced that he might be something interesting during the course of the season. I mean, I bought him when Ten Hag was still in charge. So now this week Everton, and then he's on the chopping block. Yeah,
that makes. And just to say to everyone in the chat, thank you for all joining in and asking questions. I'm saving the questions later on, and we'll quickly go through them. We won't go through too many. As you can see, James's throat, he's trying. The cold's got him, but we'll go through a couple of them later on at the end. I've got a quick Q&A section, but so keep sending them in. I'm starring them for later on. And the rest of the team looks immaculate, James. I love the double Arsenal back, and Saka, like you said, eventually more than likely will come in. Cunha's the only one potentially you could say you might have a little bit of envy for him not being in your team. But are you considering him to come in, or where would you fit him in?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things potentially next. Obviously, I've got 2.5 in the bank, which is just short of going Bumo to Saka. So I probably want to do that and get that done. I don't want to sell Bumo this week before Leicester. That's a conversation for next week. I do want to get Saka in. I just need to find a little bit of money to make that happen. The easiest way to do that is probably something like Garnacho to Semenyo, which is nice timing for me because I'm obviously carrying Jackson and Aït-Nouri both on 4 yellows. So I didn't want to carry Semenyo on 4 yellows. So the fact he's got the suspension out of the way. So that's probably the most likely thing for me next in 14. But if I lose Jackson to suspension this week, which, let's be honest, could Jackson get booked against Villa and miss Southampton before Tottenham? Yes. I'm not saying intentional, but you can make your own conclusions.
Yeah.
With that money sitting in the bank, if Jackson's then going to be suspended Tottenham away, I'm going to want to buy Watkins for Brentford and Southampton at home.
Oh, so you've got there. Yeah, you just got okay. All right.
I think so, yeah, because I think captaincy in 14 and 15 is really awkward, actually. Palmer, I think, is probably bar Haaland the standout in 14, but minutes at Southampton would maybe be a bit of a concern. And then 15, it's probably Salah at Everton, but I don't. It's Sunday City, Wednesday Newcastle, Saturday lunchtime Everton, and I know how much Everton are going to be up for that game.
Of course. Yeah.
Is there a small chance that Salah wouldn't play? I actually think that your result last night helps massively with the potential to captain Salah in 15. Because I think Salah now won't play at Girona on the Tuesday afterwards in the Champions League. So I think probably Salah captain 15. I don't think Watkins starts both those games 14-15 against Brentford, Southampton, because they've got the same. They've got Sunday at Chelsea, Wednesday, Saturday, and then Tuesday in Leipzig. Duran's starting one of them games somewhere.
Or at
Again,
least
might be the Champions League game, might get away with it. But if Jackson got booked this weekend, that probably throws the Saka plan for me up till 16.
Yeah. I'm looking at your team, James, and you'll see my team next. I'll run through my team. You can give your voice a little breather, but team looks nice. I really like it. The only one is obviously Cunha missing, but apart from that, you're in such a good place, and you've got the money in the bank to bring Saka in. So you've got all the premium. So far, so good, James. I'm not even gonna try to jinx you. Long may it continue, James.
Thank you, mate. I mean, other things that I might deem this week, for example, say Isak blanks again against Palace. I like to try and think about the outcomes. There's things like I just said about, Fernandes hauled against Leicester. Now I'm going to buy him. No, I don't want to do that. There's every chance he's going to haul against someone like that. But Isak, Newcastle obviously didn't impress Monday night against West Ham.
That was poor, yeah. I mean, he had big chances though, James.
He did. He was fine.
He was good.
They were bad.
They were poor.
And the longer it went on. Now, if they have another bad day at Palace, they then walk into you on Wednesday. So I might even deem to go, actually, yeah, do you know what? Isak to Cunha to cover that off. Moving Porro, obviously, to find a little bit of money is a different option as well. I kind of see that as a holder for Konate around about 18 at the moment. Again, the structure feels more important. I get you thinking, no, I can drop Porro to a Colwell or something like that and actually probably improves things. But then if I want to dance back to Konate, Vardy, or anything like that, it just becomes really difficult. The reality is once I get Salah, Palmer, Saka in, that's the decision is made.
Yeah.
Unless one of them gets injured for the period coming up. The fixtures are too good to be thinking, I'm going to work Haaland back in. So then if Haaland goes off in 18, 19, well, it is what it is. We're taking it on.
I was about to say, I think you go with the same strategies you've gone with and rely on the collective more than the individual, James. That's what you can hope for. I mean, it's gone well so far. And now I can see a lot of people just doing the same thing as well. I'm one of them. I'm going to show you. In fact, let's go to my team. And this is how I'm set up, James. I've got Sales in goal, decent fixture, Ipswich at home. Hall, unlike you, I have to start him because my other defender is either Greaves or Lewis. And Lewis, I know he's a youngster, but he's been pretty poor. And I don't want to just go on him, poor guy, because it's not just these. Normally, you introduce youngsters in a team that's playing well. When it's a bad team, James, you know yourself, youngsters don't have the experience to deal with it, and he's looked lost. And so I've got Hall, Gabriel, and Mikalenko playing. It's not ideal, but not great. Midfield is starting to look a little bit better. Salah, Palmer. My captain potentially at the moment is Palmer, James. It's on Aston Villa. I know they're a bit more tricky of a team, but the home fixture. And I'm quite impressed with Chelsea and what Maresca's doing at the moment. I like their attack. I know he's got his work cut out with that defense and goalkeeper, but I like their attack in midfield. I think I can see the attacking pattern of plays, and even the last game week, it's Madueke that blocked his goal. So it wouldn't have looked so bleak if that makes sense, James. Madueke tried to jump out of the way and blocked his.
There's no concern on Palmer.
Nah, none at all. He's got that. I'm in agreement with you. I know recently you saw on a slide earlier on, he's not really returned, but no problem. But players like him, like you said, he's always there. When you watch the football, you can see the positions he's taking up. He's such a threat. No issues there at all. I've got Rodgers versus Chelsea, and I've got Mbumo like you. Up front, I've got Raul Jimenez, who I bought in, was it about 4 weeks ago? And I was really excited about him. He's been playing really, really well. Fulham have been playing excellent, James. He's dodged chances last week. Did you see the sitter he missed? I mean, it's honestly, sometimes.
I think Lamina just got a slight nick on it before it got to him, didn't he?
Yeah, and it was very frustrating. He's been excellent. What's concerned me with him, I mean, you could argue a lot of players, very rare now, especially in this Christmas period, they become 90 minutes players, but he has, in the last 3 or 4 game weeks, become a 75-minute player now, which is not ideal. That's a lot of the goals are scored in the latter stages, James. So that's frustrated me there. Pedro, excellent. Last 2 game weeks, 11 points, 12 points, and just with small amount of minutes. I think it's 25 and 64. And that's without getting a jammy penalty. I mean, a lot of us get excited for him because he's a penalty taker for that price, but he's been excellent. And Fabian's spoken about how important, how integral he is to Brighton's attack, which bodes well for us. All we need from him is to stay fit. But I'm really excited about having him in the team. And last of all, I've finally done it. You were scaring me in your team, James. You was talking about potentially moving Isak away. I just bought him in. I just sold Haaland.
So I've just bought Isak in myself before West Ham.
Oh, is it as well? Okay, all right. Yeah, I was about to say, you worried me. I was like, oh no, am I one step behind again? Because I feel like this season, especially from like game week onwards, as I've been struggling, I just 1 or 2, 3 steps behind James. Like literally, when he said to me, Isak might go, I was like, oh my God, I'm back in the same place again.
Just attacking something in the immediate in terms of, I think Newcastle looked really good before the break. I was in no doubt about attacking him before West Ham have been a shambles so far, but we have to acknowledge West Ham were pretty good Monday night. Just saying, if it blanks again, then it's Liverpool and it's like, oh, I can attack something else. Maybe, but I would rather, the chances are he stays for me, Mo. You look after Liverpool, Brentford, Leicester, Ipswich, yeah. The chances are he'll be staying.
Yeah. And for me, I'm thinking, James, I move. So, okay, in fact, actually, I'll finish. So I've got Flappy in the bench. I've got Semenyo, who's missing this game. He's got a good fixture, Wolves, and then Lewis and Greaves. Now, for a -4, James, I'm considering, I'm seeking your opinion here. I could either go to 2 options. I can make Raul Jimenez Cunha, or I could make Semenyo or Rodgers on Bumo to Saka. First of all, do you think it's worth the hit? And second of all, which way would you go?
Can you go Rodgers straight to Saka?
I've got 6.7 million in the bank. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think I can, James. I think I've done the maths right. Yeah. So I could go Semenyo. So it's a choice of which one do you
definitely can.
So it's about which one. I mean, we can look at the fixtures after which one's got the better fixtures. Or there's me being smart. I've covered up the actual team, so this is not ideal. But that's not it. But so that's the choice. They're the conundrum I've got this week. Or I could just hold and don't take a minus. But I'm at the stage now where I don't mind taking a couple of hits just to try and get my team back into a competitive position, and then take it from there.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, Saka's the player that I obviously want to get in most as well. You do look at that and think Rodgers to Saka is going to make that look massively better. Did you recently sell Haaland? Is that what the money is?
That's the reason the money. Look at I'm rich, James. 6.7 million in the bank. Woof.
Yeah, but you don't get nothing for money in the bank, do you?
You get 0.
I guess looking forward as well, between Mykolenko, Lewis and Greaves, that's beginning to look a problem, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everton's fixtures are pretty shocking now.
Yeah.
Not that you need to move him specifically, but you probably are looking at it and you think in game week 14, you've got Hall playing Liverpool as well. It's not going to feel great. Admittedly, Mykolenko's fixture's all right, actually. Lewis, you don't really know where that's going to go. It's just a headache I just wouldn't want. It's just going to go on over and over every week. I wonder about something like investing in Chelsea defensively, or actually timing-wise, Brighton, mate.
Or double Arsenal. Maybe. The money's there.
I'm all for that, mate.
Yeah, I know you've already got the double.
If you went Rodgers to Saka, what does that leave you with?
I'll have to check that to see. Let's have a quick look, actually. There's no harm in doing that. Let's look at the maths there. Rodgers to Saka leaves me with 1.7 million.
All right. Lewis to Timber as well, and you feel very good about your life, mate.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'll do a -8 this week, but maybe a -4. Maybe one of those I'll fix. I'm thinking Saka first.
Cunha as well.
That's what I mean, James. They're both lovely. They're both lovely moves, and I'm not quite sure which one to go for first.
What's the plan with Bumo after this week?
Ideally, I know his fixtures get more difficult, but I've identified other areas that I wanted to fix. So he might have to stay. I mean, he might have to stay for a little bit longer because I've got fixed, like you just said. First of all, I'd love Cunha in. I want Saka in. There's 2 moves right there, James. And then the defense. So my priority is to get to him. It's a bit more difficult unless I fast track it and leave Rodgers and Semenyo in. It's one of the cheap midfielders I can rotate between them and get rid of Mbumo. Don't do the Saka move this week. Do Cunha, and then next week do Mbumo.
You said you feel like you're a step behind me.
Yeah, Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's every chance going into 14, I'll have your exact midfield, but with Saka in place for Bumo.
Yeah. Also, you'd have Rodgers. You'd keep Rodgers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rodgers got great fixtures 14, 15 as well, and then just use Rodgers, Semenyo, whichever one you feel week on week. I've got Isak and Pedro. So in terms of the attacking players, the difference is if you put Saka in for Bumo midweek, the only difference we've got is I'd have Jackson rather than Jimenez. Now, you don't want to approach Jackson. I get it at the moment because of the 4 yellows, right?
Yeah.
That's why it's even more for someone like me. It's like hold, because everyone else is put off from going there and he's doing really well. So, but I might be going, Jackson Acuna in midweek. We might have the exact same midfield and attack come game week 14 by just making a couple of different moves, actually.
Just a couple, yeah. So I'm in a, I'm believe it or not, James, even after that, I'm still not sure which way I'm going to go. It's a tricky situation I've got myself in, but I'm really not sure. But it is what it is. I'm thinking the team, I've finally caved in, James. Haaland has gone. I'm one of the ones who kept him. And believe it or not, I had no Salah all season. He's only come in last week. He only came in. So they're the 2 reasons I've had a very difficult time. But so yeah, that's the team for this week so far. Captaincy will be interesting. Let's talk about captaincy now, actually, so we can keep moving with the pace. Captains this week. I normally have these 4 in a lot of my videos. These are the 4 main culprits, James, I tend to look at, unless there's something a little bit different. Once in a while, Son will pop
Not
in.
culprits, though.
But this week, you've already stated you're thinking. What percentage you reckon Salah at the moment, James?
As in EO?
Yeah, no, for you to be captain. Like in your opinion, James, you're not?
Oh,
it's
done. Yeah,
you're not considering nothing else, James? No,
would only be if Arne Slot said something that would make me think it's not. I think there's every chance they'll murder them Sunday, mate.
Yeah, I mean, we tend.
My eyes, what I see, mate.
Yeah, no, that's fair, and I think
you've probably got that negative bias either about Tottenham. You've got it about Liverpool.
100%. It's in the back of my mind. Definitely. I mean, to be fair, Salah normally performs against City, even James when they're flying. To be fair to him, he's got that. He's very good against them. So you'd like to think with that defense, but maybe what you said, it's in the back of my mind. That I'm thinking,
City don't do nothing at Anfield when they're good.
Yeah, I know. And Salah normally performs against them as well. So you're thinking it's the perfect storm. But I like the home fixture for Palmer, actually. I do fancy that. For me, he's my captain at the moment, James.
I think Palmer will be popular on a lot of the models, I think.
Yeah, I've got the predicted points there as well, James. I forgot to mention it. He's actually, yeah, like you said, these are just from Scouts predicted models, but so 6.98, I think near 7, basically. Palmer's the highest. Haaland, strangely enough, is a rare sight. You see that, but obviously, clearly, it's considering the last 5 game weeks and whatnot, and City's form. He's on 4.76, but we know him. We know that guy can turn up any minute. And Salah's second best. You reckon Saka's a decent shout for captaincy against West Ham away?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, to be honest, the bigger off-put would that be that West Ham were much better Monday. Do we need to assess that differently, maybe? I think in terms of alternatives, there's a couple of others to consider. Bumo's record in home games has been incredible this season, and it's another great home fixture this weekend. And Pedro.
Yeah.
It's great. Now, João Pedro.
Pedro's minutes, though, James. But that's the only problem. The fixture's gorgeous. Brighton are flying. But this is like Brighton's best ever start to a top flight season. And are they at home to Southampton? They're at home, James.
Yeah.
So, and their home record this season, I think they've beaten, did they beat Man United, Man City, and Tottenham at the Amex? They've been that strong. They're really, really good at home. So I agree with you. The only
they're a really good side, mate.
They are a really good team. They really are a good team. I'm not quite sure. I was about to say how they're doing it. Obviously, we can see how they're doing it. But what I mean by the money they're spending, the turnover of managers, and they're still putting this team and performances out there. So fair play. They look like a team I think a lot of us are going to target in the upcoming game weeks. But it's just the minutes, though, James, of Pedro. That's the reason that puts me off him as a captain.
Yeah, but they need to build his match fitness. So you said he'd had, what, like 20 minutes against City, 60 against Bournemouth. He may have got more against Bournemouth if it wasn't for Baleba's red card. It's a 6-day gap to obviously Southampton. Then they don't play Fulham till, Wednesday. So you got 6 days prior, 5 days afterwards. Very good opportunity to get him sort of 80 plus, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a Friday. Someone's just mentioned actually in the chat Friday. So you'd get a bit of information. If you think he's starting and you're going to get at least 80 minutes, then it's definitely a...
I didn't buy him on Saturday night to think that he weren't going to start, mate. I'd be amazed if he doesn't. There's no
I'll be
reason
amazed
not
as well.
to.
No, I'm just putting it on. Definitely, James. I'm with you there. Even got the 2-week break and international break to build fitness as well. So I'm confident there. I'm with you there. I'm not trying to scaremonger anyone. It was just more the conversation. Ideally, to give ourselves the best probability, we like a player that plays 90 minutes. That's all it is. But
I think if Salah had blanked at Southampton and City had been better over the last week, I think there'd be more of a surge for captaining João Pedro, actually.
yeah, I think you're right.
It doesn't feel like, for me, I just don't feel like there's a need for me to have the argument about it. I mean, admittedly, I've taken Mo on for the majority of this season. Now he's there. I basically now need a good reason not to captain him.
Not to captain him.
I can't see one this week.
He's flying, James. He's really flying. I mean, I know you've seen me talk about him quite a lot online. He's one of my favorite players. He's going to go down as a Premier League legend, but really this season, he's shown his importance to the team. And in FPL again, he's just a formidable player. And I'm sure even in you reckon he'd go down as one of the best right wingers in the Premier League, all-time Premier League, James.
He already is. Yeah, it's not in question, mate. Yeah. It's one of Liverpool's greatest ever players, one of the greatest ever right wingers in the league. Walks into pretty much every other team in this league, but maybe you could have a debate about Arsenal.
Yeah.
Outstanding player, man.
Just a formidable player. I'm in agreement with you. Happy to have him back in my team.
Looks better. It looks leaner.
He just looks good. He just looks... What do you reckon, James? Do me and you need to go Turkey and consider... Salah's looking pretty sharp with his hair now. What do you reckon? Us turning up next season with the same haircut as...
I think I want to go more like Ross FPL Raptor and just have it all off, mate. Oh, yours, yeah. That's the better way, mate.
It is, yeah. I totally agree with you. So here, we're not going to go through all of this. The only thing I wanted to mention in this, and you spoke a little bit earlier on, was there any trends you could see? I think you touched on some of it, James, earlier on. Any trends you could see coming up? So we've had the sort of, strategic trends coming up potentially that we might target or might become very, very popular. You touched on a little bit of Mbumo going for other, or double Arsenal. Is there anything else you reckon that we're missing in the upcoming Christmas period?
I think in the immediate, like in terms of a team to target this week, Brighton is now.
Yeah,
definitely.
But who from Brighton, though, James? We've got Pedro, no problem. Who else?
Van Heck defensively. I'm pretty convinced he's their first choice centre back now. I don't even think it's a certainty that Lewis Dunk gets back in. Okay. If he does, it will be as Van Heck's partner. Kadioglu's not as out as long as we thought he would be. So I think his Stupidan's a bit too dicey. Kadioglu could always play for Veltman at right back. Lamptey's down. So Verbruggen or Van Heck, if you wanted, if you're on wildcard now. If I was on wildcard, I'd definitely have one of them too.
For defensive cover.
Mitoma's the best midfielder to get.
Yeah.
But it's at a higher price ticket. It might be a nice one where people think, Bumo to Mitoma, but that doesn't feel right this week. And then you've missed Mitoma playing Southampton, so there's awkwardness to that.
It is awkward, yeah.
I think I made a kind of a key point on our pod on Monday that with Mitoma, I don't want to pay $1 million more for the second best asset within the team. And João Pedro, $1 million cheaper is a better asset.
Yeah.
So if you're wildcarding now, I don't know how you don't put him in at his price and stuff. So then Wolves still have a good run of fixtures. I think the next kind of real swinger, I said to you, sort of like game week 18. On my ticker, City, Chelsea, Liverpool are the top three. So it's going to be a real surge for them over that period, I think. Arsenal's fixtures are good. I mean, in that game week, Arsenal have Ipswich at home as well. Yeah. Then it gets a bit more difficult for Arsenal afterwards. I think Fulham come back round to good fixtures game week 19. You've got a really bad period now. I play Southampton 19. It gets better again. I think Palace towards the end of the year might come back onto our radar a little bit. Things like Eze, if you can show some form over the next 4 or 5 game weeks, I think will be popular again once we get into New Year. But otherwise, this feels like this period at the end of December, I think is arguably going to feel as template as it feels. Because the 4 best teams basically have the best fixtures. So you're going to surge towards that, basically.
It sort of kills the almost different plays you can go to. I mean, you can pick different players from the same team, potentially, if you're really searching for a differential. But like you said, they've all the top players from the top teams all hit the fixtures at the same time. I agree with you. I think a lot of the teams are going to be quite similar over this period. So the little side players, the differentials will make the difference, basically, in this period.
Yeah, and for me, with my structure, it's things like, so coming back to someone like, even if I don't go Watkins the next couple, Villa then got a good run of fixtures sort of from game week 20. Dive in and out. Tottenham comes back good again, sort of game week 22 onwards. It'll flip, but I think we're heading to a period now where the 4 best teams, if we're still including City in that, have got good runs.
Yeah, totally in agreement with you there, James. And I was going to do this, but with your voice, I'm thinking to even leave it. I want to get your predictions on the fixtures, but maybe I'm just trying to look out for any stat. Yeah, you all right?
Yeah, sorry, mate.
No, it's more for you. I don't make you talk too much.
My job to talk all day, isn't it? It's just gone wrong. Sorry.
It happens. Brighton Southampton. It's nice to have a Friday deadline. Remember, anyone watching this, make sure you don't miss the deadline. The Friday one has caught me out before. That fixture, I think we're all going for Brighton win, James. What do you reckon? 2-3-0?
Yeah, 2-0-ish or so, I think. Yeah, clean sheet can be fancied then, no doubt about that.
Brentford versus Leicester. We spoke about Mbeumo being even a potential captain. We've got the confidence in Brentford. They've been a bit different this season. They've been a bit loose defensively, but attack's been not bad at all.
Well, we think Van Nistelrooy is probably going to get appointed today. So that puts obviously a different slant on the game from a Leicester perspective. That would be enough to make me feel cold about captaining Mbeumo, I think. Manager bounce, etc., etc. So, but I think they're pretty bland. Excuse me, at the moment, Leicester. So, I mean, I would expect Brentford to win by a couple still.
Yeah. And Crystal Palace and Newcastle, surely Isaac rewards us, James. What do you reckon? Crystal Palace defensively been not that great this season. And Newcastle, they're going to want to get rid of that performance real quick. That performance was not good, like you said, against West Ham. I know West Ham, we shouldn't take it away from them. They were good. But still, they're going to want to turn it back on. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Newcastle win.
In a weird way, because Palace have got some offensive issues, although Eze might be back for this, they're almost better suited, I think, to playing some of the better teams at the moment. Like they drew at Villa, they deservedly beat my team a few weeks ago, put on a great defensive display. So I think there's almost like they can absorb what the opponent's doing. It might even be better for them to have a fixture like this. I was sneaky, they might get something there, so I might go draw, actually.
What score draw?
1-1.
Yeah, I was hoping you said Newcastle clean for Hall as I'm starting him. Nottingham Forest versus Ipswich. Forest got pummeled against Arsenal. I think they've had a great start to the season, but they felt the power of Arteta. I looked at some of their stats, especially Arsenal's defensive stats, and it reminded me of how strong they are at stopping you from getting chances. James, so Raya, you're not going to get much you're going to get clean sheets, but you're not going to get much save points because he didn't make one save that game. How about that for a stat, James?
I mean, it'd settle for 6 points every week, wouldn't you?
Of course you would. That's why he's
5 million.
the way defensive players and goalkeepers have been this season, James, you would take even 4 points a week with goalkeepers, honest to God.
I'd rather he got 0 every week, to tell you the truth. It's so rubbish, I've got to sell him, would make my life better. I would think Forest would have a little bit too much here. Home game, I see FPL Worms just putting 2-0, yeah.
Yeah.
1 or 2-0 Forest, yeah.
I've been said Ipswich have been, I don't know, sometimes I watch them. They do impress me in
Really
certain
good.
moments, James. They have, isn't
Really
it? Yeah,
good.
I thought so. They have been good. I agree. I watch them and I really like them. I'm kind of cheering them on from afar. I want them to do well. I like the way they play. Yeah,
I think their next few games, I mean, they can definitely get something at Forest, but they haven't won at home yet. And they've got Palace and Bournemouth straight afterwards at home. Kind of want to be targeting sort of 4 points from there. If that goes wrong, then I think you suddenly become quite concerned for them again.
Yeah, totally agree. Wolves versus Bournemouth. Cunha owners here.
Depends what you get from a little bit Jekyll and Hyde. Both these teams can be. I really like Bournemouth. I really like Antonio Iriola. Semenyo, obviously a big miss, suspended this weekend. So that in mind, I might just give the edge to Wolves, actually. Bournemouth can get their 3 points against my team next week, I'm sure.
Nah, I don't think Tottenham's going to be giving out any charity wins for now.
Tottenham give out charity wins.
You reckon? I don't know. Yeah. I think hopefully that result last week, James. Hopefully that you know.
No,
you don't think so. You're not confident. I know you're never confident on your team because you've been watching them for that long. And you've had
I'm confident in my team. We've now got the problem of having a tree in goal, which is very problematic.
That's a big problem. That is. Yeah, I forgot about that. You know, and Andrew's already gone on record to say that he's not going to buy another goalkeeper.
He said he said he wouldn't buy anyone that was available on a free transfer.
Oh,
he didn't say he wouldn't buy someone in January, but there's a lot of games between now and January.
That could change his mind. Yeah, because a lot of managers, I remember myself, James, Klopp, he loved Karius. It was his little son, and he was doing well, was training him up. And then after that game with Real Madrid, we bought Alisson instantly. It was too much to take. So yeah, I think you can't.
Ange doesn't rate Forster.
He doesn't.
We played him once all of last season in a League Cup second round game. We played Man City in the last round of League Cup. He still picked Vicario. He doesn't rate Forster himself. He's telling you one thing to the camera. I'm telling you, he thinks something different.
Yeah, okay, I see.
Not for me to tell Ange how he feels, but I'm saying Ange is bullshitting you, and he wants to buy a goalkeeper in January. I'm certain.
But you're saying all these actions will be different from what he's saying, from what he's putting out there.
Hey, he's not going to throw the guy he's got to rely on for the next month under the bus, is he? Of course he's not.
And West Ham, so Suj must be flying after that result against Newcastle. So West Ham versus, can they do this? Can they produce a result here?
I hope so, but I don't think so.
I don't think so.
2-0 Arsenal, probably.
2-0 Arsenal. I'm in agreement. I reckon the chat, look, some are saying 3-1, some, 3-0. 3-0 West Ham. All right, Buna. Yeah. No
Tottenham
chance.
boy, hello, Buna.
Yeah, exactly. He wants, that's the Tottenham bias kicking in. I'm going to go 2-0. I'm joining you there, James. Chelsea beat Aston Villa. Now, this is a game to hopefully look forward to. Nice Sunday, of good Sunday football here. Hopefully, I don't get interrupted. I can actually sit down and watch all the matches. I think Chelsea here, 3-1. I fancy goals in this. What do you reckon, James?
Yeah, Villa not a disastrous result against Juventus in the Champions League. I know there was some controversy over the late incident last night.
Yeah.
But they're not quite at their best at the moment. And I think Chelsea will have too much, to be honest. But yeah, 2-1. I agree with FPL Maggot, I think.
2-1, yeah. He said 2-1 as well, yeah. 3-2 Chelsea. I'm thinking something like this. Yeah, that's what I'm actually thinking. I think there's going to be goals in this. I'm not quite sure why, James. I don't have the statistics to even back my theory there. I just fancy goals in that early fixture. Manchester United versus Everton. Now, Manchester United had that result which kind of deflated the new manager bounce against Ipswich. But like we said a minute ago, Ipswich they're not mugs, good team. What do you reckon against Everton?
Well, that's as straightforward as it gets at the moment, unfortunately. Everton don't score goals. They're better defensively than the league position, but yeah, they're not going to score many. I think probably 2-0 United.
Yeah, I'm in agreement there. Everton they're looking trouble, mate. Your boys next, Spurs versus Fulham, London. It's a derby.
It's not a derby, mate.
London, I know. We've only got one derby against Arsenal, but if you want to say a London one, but what do you reckon?
Fulham couldn't offend you if they stole your woman, man, honestly. Yeah. There's no hatred there or nothing. This could be a shock.
No. I'm not having that, James. I know you're thinking.
We haven't got a goalkeeper, mate.
Still. Now you're going to be too strong for them. Sorry.
Yeah. This could be a shock. It could be a Tottenham clean sheet. There you go. I've just reeled you in to wind you up there.
Okay.
I'll give us the edge 2-1. I think there is a danger though that because Fulham got well beat by Wolves, you just ignore the fact that they went down to 10 men towards the end of the game with Anderson's injury. His fitness is key. Genuinely, if he's fit, Fulham might get something. If he's not, I would expect us to win. But it's the usual Thursday, Sunday problem. I'll go 2-1 to us.
He's thinking, FPL Worm's thinking Spursy to do a Spursy. That's what he's saying. A 2-1 Fulham. I'm not sure. I think I fancy Spurs there. I fancy 3-1, 2-1. Yeah. And the last one, James, we're going to speak about is Liverpool versus Manchester City. Your captain's involved in it, so clearly you fancy Liverpool for a couple goals.
Yeah, 3-1 I'll go for, and it might be more.
You reckon even more? God, that will make my
I would not be surprised if you win like 4-1, 4-2. Not at all.
That would be special. Yeah, look, I think a couple of others agree. Look, 4-1, 3-2. Oh, I hope we don't concede 2 goals. I mean, we did have... What would worry me, James, we should touch on, that's got a caveat. If Konate's injured, that would worry me. He's had an excellent season. Bradley, who I really, really rate, he came off injured with a hammy as well. At first, I thought it was the impact on his sort of inside of foot. It's not that, it's a hammy. So that's a big blow. Gomez is a decent, safe sort of substitute, but not as confident. I really like Bradley. I rate him highly. And so that the point I'm getting at, that could impact a little bit with our defensive stability. So a little caveat.
That's why I'm backing City to score.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I do fancy us though. I'm going to go 2-1. I think it'll be a bit more tighter. 2-1 Liverpool. I'm hoping your results are true, James. I just
think you'll have, in terms of transition, I think in terms of the speed of attack, when you win the ball back is as quick as anyone in the league, and City are as vulnerable to that as any team in this league at the moment. I don't see how they stop you on transition at all. Yeah. I think it could be really... I can foresee a scenario where City have 65% of the ball and get absolutely annihilated.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. I think a lot of people are confident in saying the same thing, Captain. Let me save that question. We're going to do questions right after this, and then we're going to let James go and have another warm tea to rest his throat. But let me just save these questions. So that's all of them. Thank you very much, James. I think that's all of the. We're going to go straight into. In fact, I'll bring up the questions now. So if there's any questions, quick ones, guys, we'll just answer them, and then we can let James chill. So this is the first question by now. Hey lads, what do you think of moving Rao onto Zhao this week?
Yeah, pretty straightforward one. Fulham's fixtures now look a dog, and Brighton's timing is perfect. So, yeah, I mean, we've said earlier this week there's a number of players that if you've got, I think Jimenez falls into that category. Calvert-Lewin, if you're still there, you're going to find that very difficult not to make that move. I think, yeah, I'll be all for it.
Totally agree. I'm with you there, James. Next questions. Would you take a -4 to bring in Pedro over Raul? So it's a similar question, but I think the difference is here. It's a hit, James.
Yeah, can I abstain because Jimenez is playing my team?
I'll answer that one then. I'm in a similar scenario. Who answered? Yesin. I'm in a similar scenario there, and I'm close to it. I haven't done it yet, but I am actually considering it to just get Cunha back in the team. You know, I had him and I got rid of him. Very smart. But to bring him back in, so
what would be the value of the price to you? All I mean by that is if you don't make it now, there's every chance you're doing it next week. And then look who's playing each other next week. Fulham against Brighton next week. So that feels ugly, and it's at Fulham. If you wait a couple more weeks, what price are you paying for João Pedro if he does well over the next two?
You mean as in his value goes up, basically?
Yeah, I'm not saying he won't be affordable,
yeah,
but suddenly you're paying 5.96 or so, possibly, right?
I mean, someone from my perspective, I mean, I've already got him in here, but someone from my perspective would be, I've got the money in the bank. But in someone like this, Yasin's case, if you're taking the money, a -4, that could tell us that you might not have the money. And as James is saying, if you have to move because of the money situation, then it might make.
I think if you looked over, say, the next five, right? Say João Pedro's got Southampton, Fulham, Leicester, Palace, West Ham, and Jimenez has got Tottenham, Brighton, Arsenal, Liverpool before Southampton, right? Even say the next four. I mean, João Pedro really should be outscoring Jimenez by more than a 4. The right time to buy João Pedro is now. The right time to sell Jimenez is now.
Yeah,
I think it's probably, do it.
Yeah, yes, and I think so as well. Yeah, you're going to like seeing Pedro in your team. It's a no-brainer.
And these will always backfire. I swear to you, Mo, whenever I take a hit, it blows up in my face. Honestly, it feels like that every time. -4 to get his sack in this week. So like he gone, right?
Oh, so you have taken a hit this season, James? You've taken hits?
Last week. Yeah.
You did, yeah? Okay, all right.
I'll be honest, my intention would have been no, but I still think if you feel the aggressive play is there to be made, you know, I've got Tottenham players playing away to Man City, wherever you think of them. Okay, get a couple of Newcastle boys in at home to West Ham. Yeah, let's go. No one predicted those two results this week, I don't think.
Nah, no chance. They were bookie busters.
This is why I said, can I abstain? Because you know now Jimenez gets a goal and assist at Tottenham, and João Pedro goes off injured after 20 minutes against Southampton. Like, that's what this is, isn't it?
That's how my season feels. I feel like that, James, but I think you saying it, I think it's going to be fine. So next question, do you think Thiago will start this weekend because it's a good home game? And how do you see the Brentford attack going forward? Thinking, when is it the right time to transfer Wissa out?
No, very unlikely. They didn't use him at Everton, did they? I know obviously they had the Christian Norgard red card, so I think he would have had to come on for them to be in a position where they started him. So I get the theory. They've got really tough fixtures after this one, so you think, I want to get him some minutes now. And I imagine they will want to do that, but I don't think it'd be from to start. So if you've got Wissa this week, that's a hold for me.
He is. He's like
definitely sell after this week.
Yeah, like similar conversations in Bumo there, isn't it? He's been excellent this season, Wissa. Another player, like you said, cheap player delivering quality returns. Yes, and any West Ham assets to look at before Christmas and New Year period?
Yeah, I got 2 on radar actually, because I think many of us would have identified in pre-season Bumo to Bowen for similar price in game week 14. Actually, Kudos is a possibility for me. As an alternative maybe to Semenyo. If I go Bumo to Saka, as it stands, I'd need to find 0.2. So Garnacho at 6.3, sell to Kudos at 6.1. He's back from suspension in game week 14. Might be a cheeky little alternative I might look at.
I forgot about him. I completely forgot. You know, Kudos, because he's been off our radar, obviously, since that incident. But he's a class player. But West Ham, have we got the confidence, James, to say Lopetegui's turned it around? They've been...
No.
Yeah, I know.
There's no confidence in West Ham, mate. West Ham don't have confidence in West Ham.
No, I know. I was about to say, well, the start of the season, I think a lot of people were touting them because the signings, the man, it looked
I
like
had
it's
a
coming
few West
together.
Ham people saying we got challenge for the Champions League. Yeah, it's all gone quiet though.
You can't find them now. Yeah.
No.
Every time I watch your show, I just see Sidge's face. He's like, yeah, God, rubbish. Like,
He bottled half the content this week. So he's like, we're getting destroyed on Monday night. And he's regretting it now.
oh, that's the reason he didn't want to be seen because he was thinking it's going to be poor.
Yeah, because we do Tottenham, like a Tottenham and West Ham
yeah.
podcast on our Patreon. And he's like, no, get Clayton to do it this week, talk about Tottenham and Arsenal. But he probably regretted that decision.
He did, because he would have had a lot to discuss with a smile on his face, which isn't often you can say that. We touched on, actually, not this combination, but pick one. Palmer or Saka this week, James, if you had to go between one of them.
Close that.
It is close, isn't it?
A little bit. I just feel like West Ham are just more likely to capitulate, basically.
Well, when you score against them,
maybe just edge for Saka, just slightly. But I even flip a coin. I imagine both will return.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you there. Me personally, I'll go Palmer because I've got captain at the moment, so I need to back what I'm saying. So yeah, I'll go Palmer. I fancy him, but like James said, that one's a 50-50, mate. And last question, let me check if there's any more, because I think that's so. Mo and James, any thoughts about Ahmad at Manchester United? He's performed well and he's played at the new manager loves him, yeah, but he's played is it that wing back system? What do you reckon, James? Any joy for us there? He's an out of position player in a way maybe that we don't like.
He's what Tom Candle from Who Got the Assist would call a poo.
Yeah.
It's not OOP, it's the reverse, he's a poo. He could end up playing in the position that Fernandes played in the last game, with Fernandes moving to kind of the left 10 position is a possibility. Feels like there's a bit too many cooks there. Like Dallo, once Shaw and Malacia are back up to fitness, you've got Dallo and Maxwell be more useful probably at right wing back. Martinez back soon. In terms of depth, when they've got everyone fit, they've really got a big cluster of players they can choose from. I looked at it today. I think of the outfield players, though, they've probably got 13, I think, competing to really be kind of regular first choice. And he is in that category, definitely. I think that would be avoidable at the moment, though. So, like, if someone's looking for money, because he's 4.9,
yeah,
I'd just rather you went to Tyler Diblin and just left that, and I'm never starting him, and he's first on my bench and stuff. Because that's what you want it for. And then Diblin will get back in the Southampton team. They've got good fixtures from sort of game week 18 onwards. I just wouldn't pay for Diallo at the moment. I'd go down to Diblin. It's boring. If you want Diallo as a starter, there's even more reason to avoid, I think. You've just not got that clarity at the moment. And after this week, fixtures are shocking for a little bit.
I agree. There was a free fixture period with Manchester United. Obviously, it didn't overlap well with the new manager. Where they had lovely fixture. I think it was Ipswich, Everton, and yeah, good fixtures.
Yeah, this is the last one this week.
This is the last one, exactly. Then they're a bit grim at the moment, James. Then you might consider when they go back to a nicer set of fixtures. So for now, I don't think so. And I think this is the last question here. Any news on Dunk? I brought him weeks ago for these fixtures.
Yeah, I said earlier, I'm not convinced he's going to go back in. Their balance with Julio as the left footer playing to the left of Van Heck, I think is better. I think it's worked very well for them recently. They've had a good set of results since those two have been playing together. I don't think it's a certainty that Dunk goes back in that team. I think definitely Van Heck is ahead of him now. I think Van Heck is going to get linked with the top clubs. I can actually see you looking at him, Mo.
You reckon he's that level, James? You think so, yeah?
I think he's capable of being it, yeah.
To making the step, yeah?
I think so. He's still young, he's 22 or something, like a young player. He'll get in the Dutch team properly soon. I think. Yeah, I think he'll be their first choice defender. But if you've invested in Dunk, then you just got to keep your fingers crossed at the moment. Because you don't want to sell it, right?
No.
Because the fixtures are so good. No. I think you've got to at least give it this week. But as it stands, I think until something goes wrong, I think Julio will keep playing alongside Van Heck. And it might not change. I said in pre-season that I thought that he might not be a good fit for Hertzler's system and he might get phased out. And to be honest, I had a lot of pushback from Brighton fans. Be like, don't be silly, he's our captain and that. And it might begin to happen though, you know.
Could be right there. And that's actually, you touched on something before we do this question from Junior. Any other players, James, you've seen? I normally ask, I've had a couple of guests on here before. Now I like to ask any other players you've seen that can make the step up. So not from top 6 clubs that you've seen that won't be, or more than likely won't be at their clubs for next season, James. They're going to be targeted.
Oh, I mean, next season's tough to say, isn't it? I think Van Heck is one.
Yeah, that's the reason you made me think about that question, actually. So he's one of them.
I mean, there's so many players.
Semenyo, I'd think, is one of them. He could make the jump.
Yeah, Semenyo's been heavily linked with a January move to Newcastle, actually.
Yeah.
There's others at Brighton, likes of Carlos Baleba.
Yeah.
Mitoma at some point will probably get looked at. Cunha's obviously going to
Cunha's 100%. He won't be there, James. Yeah.
João Gomez at Wolves is another one as well. Semenyo, as you quite rightly say. I think Kudos at West Ham.
Definitely.
Again, it's not on our minds at the moment. It's another one. Bumo. Another one to consider. There's loads. These teams largely have got very good footballers now in most cases. Mark Gay, I think, is the inevitable movement from Palace at some point.
And this question here, I think there's one more after this and then we're definitely done. So Van Heck and Odegaard, it's a combination one. So either Van Heck and Odegaard versus Timber and Mitoma. So it's basically Arsenal Brighton combos.
Yeah. Do you know what the influence is on that? It's like get the best of Arsenal for me. And ironically, that means taking the Timber route.
You think so? Arsenal, you think so? Arsenal's attack, I mean, Odegaard could, maybe for that money, the value you get from Timber's clean sheets.
I think best free Arsenal you could probably have now. If I was wildcarding now, I'd probably go in Gabriel, Timber, Saka. And I think if I was going Brighton, Van Heck and João Pedro would be in the queue before Mitoma. And I'd be asking myself if I really wanted to pay that for Mitoma. So I think Timber there is the biggest standout. But ironically, I'd probably be going both them defenders. They're both good choices.
They are.
I think with ones like that, one of the things to think about sometimes is it's like, I can spend the money, so I'll spend it. But maybe the right answer isn't Mitoma. And again, the timing is good. And so that's part would lead me to take that choice as well. But maybe you're better off not spending that money and being in a position where you can attack something that's a little bit more expensive next week. Maybe. Rather than that feels like one where it's like spending the money.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. So you heard that, Junior. You can possibly wait there and assess, especially if your team's in a really good condition there.
All those players are viable. Of all that, the priority would maybe be Timber at this stage. Because if you've got no Arsenal defensive, I think that's like a priority.
You'd push that instantaneously. If you've already got one, it's not as urgent. And this one here, I think he touched on it already. Andy Max one. We just wanted to finish off on this. He spoke about Timber, and I think we've already answered that, Andy. So hopefully you've seen that. I think James and I both rate him. Benjamin White's out injured. Looks like the minutes are good. Arsenal's fixtures are good. It seems a good one, isn't it, James, to bring in if you've got the fixture.
Clayton's been pushing the Calafiori vibes pick, but I managed to collar him yesterday and get him to admit that was incorrect because actually Timber looks like the vibes pick now after Arsenal's last 2 games.
Yeah, totally in agreement. I think that rounds up all the questions. And thank you very much for everyone that asked the questions. Please like and subscribe. I always forget to say stuff like that.
Sorry for coughing.
That's fine, James. No problem. And the last thing I wanted to say, thank you, James. You've done a good shift considering your throw. And I've had that before. It's so irritating, isn't it? It really, really is irritating. What shampoo do we? Oh God, someone's I think trolling us. What shampoo do we use? Yeah. Well.
Oh shit.
I don't know, James. What do you use? I use whatever.
You don't know. You just vision.
Whatever's there. I just. Well, that's one advantage of no hair. You don't have to go buy them expensive shampoos and literally your shampoo's your shower gel.
I have to wash my hair like at least every other day, even though I haven't got any.
Yeah, but
honestly, because your head gets like
of course it does.
Stuff,
of course it
picks
definitely
up all the crap, right?
But do you need to go buy them expensive shampoos though, James?
Oh no, cheap one will do. Yeah, absolutely. So like whatever gets picked up is fine. I'm a Dove guy generally, but on my head, actually like anything.
No problem. No, that's not a problem. And thank you. The last thing for me to say, James, is thank you very much. Look at this picture, James.
State of that. Man.
That is a quality picture. What is it,
that's
James?
My boy Manchild in the background as
well.
Why have I got flowers? How drunk am I there?
You wasn't even. No, you know what? This was just a random moment. Like I've got some amazing pictures of all of us, James, in all the meets and all your old meets. I've got some quality. These are just capturing the moment. This one here, I can't remember what we was laughing about, but it was a good moment. I thought, I remember it was the bet, like you said, for the top. But the flowers, I'm not quite sure.
It's probably someone's just asked me what shampoo I use, probably.
Possibly, yeah. And you know, at this time, do you know where Suj was? Do you remember where Suj was when we was doing this? When we was catching
Probably
jokes?
shouldn't say publicly.
Yeah. No, well, to be fair, we better say now, as you said that, James. But he was in the corner stuffing his face with a pizza, which I've got a lovely picture of him doing.
Okay, yeah.
But
I don't know where he puts all the food he eats away. I don't know.
I know he's one of them lucky dudes that he's always.
He does work out. To be fair, that's what he'd say to me. Yeah, I'll do jujitsu and all that, James. That's your problem. I'm like, okay, thanks.
James, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you for agreeing. I know how busy you are.
Man.
You do this obviously like you're full time making content, so you're always using your voice. So I really appreciate taking your time and using your voice for coming onto my channel. So I really appreciate that, James. Hopefully
anytime,
one day
mate.
again
Let's do it again. I'll have some soothers beforehand next time.
And I wish you the rest of the season goes well for you, James. I hope it does, because like you said, it's too early to be getting excited and whatnot. You know how this game, it can be so vicious. It takes 3 game weeks, James, and all of a sudden you're in the mixer. So hopefully you continue to keep smashing it. All right, I'm cheering for you from afar.
Thank you, mate. Have a good one as well, pal.
Nice one. Thank you very much, everyone. Please like and subscribe before you jump off. And I would say go follow James, but if you're not, then yeah, come on. Everyone should be following James on Planet Pod. Thank you very much. I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.